Module 7. Improving your skills. Part 2. Although it's impossible to make a perfect decision for all of our life decisions, there are ways to improve our chances of making the best choices. Critical thinking is a soft skill that can evolve in many ways. A lack of metacognition, or thinking about thinking, can lead some people to feeling overconfident. Some leaders have learned to succeed under pressure, but may become complacent in their successes and neglect to take advantage of an opportunity to improve their critical thinking skills. Thoughts become critical when you are aware of them. Exceptional critical thinking skills will develop from practicing habits that are designed for success in accordance to your goals. An effective way to be organized with thoughts and explore connections between ideas is to use mind maps, or logic trees. Mind maps can foster the organization of information in a logical structure that is essential for successful critical thinking. By using visual diagrams, the learner is able to map out their thoughts, explore new connections in a more visible way, and analyze choices to form decisions. With this logical structure, it is easier to integrate new ideas into your thinking process. Mind mapping allows the thinker to have greater clarity with their thoughts in light of the bigger picture or objective. It is best to capture your ideas in a mapping format that is understandable to you. Consider beginning with a central theme and expanding your thoughts from there. The central theme can branch off to other connected topics that you wish to explore, in which these topics may be branched as words, images, or phrases. Mind maps create a clear, organizational structure that can guide you through your critical thinking process. An essential aspect of critical thinking is the ability to open your mind to new insights and possibilities. Open-mindedness is the virtue by which we learn. In particular, being open-minded means taking into account relevant evidence or arguments to revise a current understanding. It involves being critically open to alternatives, with the possibility of changing your personal view. When we allow ourselves to be open-minded, we can discover new information about ourselves that challenges our current values and beliefs. The key to being open-minded is to not allow preconceived notions to constrain or inhibit reflection on newly presented information. It's important to avoid becoming defensive when our ideas are being challenged, but rather allow new ideas to give us a fresh insight on the world around us. Learning and improving any life skills is possible with practice. A critical thinker can improve by finding ways to get involved and participate in exercises or dilemmas that will expand their line of reasoning. In a workplace setting, actively volunteer to help with specific work-related problems or newly emerging issues. This will help to bring out your creative side and offer you the support you will need to develop those very necessary skills. If there is a lack of opportunities available, consider introducing team-building exercises that are aimed at getting the group involved with exploring logic and reason. Surrounding yourself with keen critical thinkers exposes you to more sources of perspective and shared knowledge of great ideas. Playing games is not only a fun and entertaining way to spend your time, they are also a great way to improve your critical thinking skills. Games such as chess or logical puzzles help to stimulate your brain and sharpen your mind. They encourage you to make decisions and solve problems, in which these brain activities contribute to the development of essential reasoning and life skills. Even a friendly game of charades will put your sequential steps of critical thinking to the test. As you play, your mind is developing the skills necessary to efficiently defeat your opponent. Strategic moves and logical thoughts can enhance your creativity and adaptability, leading you to become a champion critical thinker. The importance of sleep cannot be overstated, especially when it comes to our thought processes. Sleep is essential for optimal operation of our cognitive functions, including decision-making, perception and logical reasoning. It prepares our brains to remain sharp to details and eliminates fuzzy thinking. Without sleep, we lack the ability to think clearly on complex problems and can often become irritable. Sleepiness will slow down your thought process, making it difficult to take in or retain new information. If you're looking to improve your critical thinking skills, start with a good night's sleep. Taking care of your body and mind will have significant effects on your overall performance as a professional. Thomas is a chief marketing officer at a large manufacturing company that produces soft drinks. The team was planning on releasing a new drink, in which they needed to think of fun ways that they could promote this new product. They decided to form a team meeting to brainstorm ideas. During the meeting, Thomas was having a hard time coming up with good ideas, because he was exhausted from the work event from the previous night. Thomas mentioned this exhaustion to his team, and they agreed that they were tired as well, and that it was best to take a break and return to brainstorming the next day. After having a good night of sleep, Thomas woke up feeling refreshed. He started the day with a logical puzzle to help stimulate his brain and get his thoughts flowing. Thomas returned to work with a positive attitude, feeling confident that he could conquer his workday. When the team returned to the idea board, Thomas suggested that they put together a visual map of the ideas that they brainstormed, to provide logical structure to the ideas. The team was able to come up with many excellent ideas, allowing them to move forward with implementing a great promotion. Module 8. Evaluating the information. One of the best ways to strengthen critical thinking is to strictly evaluate your information. Although this is a challenging part of the process, it is crucial to weigh the information you have received from all of your sources, and come to your own decision. Critical thinkers are successful when they are able to think thoroughly about the accuracy, reliability or biases with their information sources. Although information may appear factual at face value, it's important to recognize whether it is actually a reliable source. We want to be able to trust the sources that supply our daily news, but must take responsibility for what we believe. Assumptions are easy. We make them daily, usually without even realizing. An assumption is something that is accepted as truth, although there is no proof or evidence. Oftentimes they come from an unwillingness to ask questions or seek the truth, resulting in incomplete information. Assumptions can be stated verbally, but most times they are formed mentally and remain unstated. A critical thinker must be aware of the dangers of making assumptions, since they can be misleading or inaccurate. It's important to base your decisions on logic, not assumptions. Assumptions can interfere with alternative possibilities and affect your ability to think critically and creatively. Likewise, they can hinder our ability to view various viewpoints that allow us to relate to others. When evaluating the information, it's important to be mindful of cognitive biases. Cognitive biases hinder the ability to think critically, by placing limitations on the mind. A bias is an assumption or belief about something that is formed from information we are given, perceive, or lacking. These biases make it difficult to accept new information or exchange accurate information with others. They hold a strong influence on the way we think and act, and can interrupt our reasoning in the decision-making process. We must ensure that we don't allow our preconceived opinions to influence the way we evaluate data, to the degree that we use the data to confirm what we already believe. Objectivity is the key to opposing biases. If you're looking to get the right answers, it's important to ask the right questions. Clarifying questions are thought-provoking questions that will help the thinker acquire more information and get a better understanding of the overall problem. Although these questions can be simple questions of fact, they help us to obtain valuable knowledge that will eliminate any confusions or misunderstandings. With clarifying questions, you can expect other questions to arise out of the answers you receive. Consider asking the speaker to elaborate on a message, or confirm or deny what was understood by the information. Clarifying questions can help one another truly listen to what is being said. Examples of clarifying questions include: could you elaborate on this? What would be another way that you could do this? What resources did you use? What was meant when you said this? A SWOT analysis, also known as situational analysis, is a simple and practical evaluation model that is used to develop strategic planning. SWOT, standing for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, is used to assess external and internal factors, as well as the current and future potential of a project. It allows us to think cleanly and clearly, from a logical point of view, while developing awareness of certain factors that are necessary when forming a decision. Strengths and weaknesses, situations inside the company or organization, internal factors, in which the factors tend to be present. Examples include pricing, products, costs, or performance. Opportunities and threats, situations outside the company or organization, external factors, in which the factors tend to be in the future. Examples include markets, sectors, audience, or trends. Once a possible solution has been derived, problem solvers may feel they can proceed with the solution. However, they should not overlook the all-important step of evaluating all possible solutions. Sometimes one problem has more than one solution, and taking the time to evaluate the efficacy of each alternative is a critical thinking skill. The critical thinker should evaluate each alternative and judge which one is the best. The following steps are an effective evaluation technique. 1. Make a T-chart to weigh the pros and cons of each possible solution. 2. Develop criteria, or requirements, and assign weights to each criterion. 3. Prioritize the criteria. 4. Rate the proposed solutions using the criteria. Dale, a marketing intern for a mid-sized furniture company, was creating a SWOT analysis to present to his boss, Anne. Since Dale had previously bought pieces of furniture from other competitors, as well as from his own company, he believed he was well informed about the company's strengths and weaknesses. He asked his colleagues about opportunities for expansion, but did not ask their opinion about threats. When he presented his analysis to Anne, she asked him why the threats section was so sparse, as well as why he thought the company had a stronghold in the national market. It turns out that the company wasn't financially strong enough to expand further, and he had wasted his time. Next time, Dale made sure to evaluate his findings more thoroughly by avoiding his biases and asking the right questions to his fellow colleagues. Module 9. The barriers. The way you think will have an effect on every aspect in your life. Despite being an important mindset and skills that we can all achieve, many individuals are not practicing critical thinking skills. Barriers can come between you and your ability to think critically, which may hold you back from opportunities of success. These barriers may be formed from opinions, ideas, or simply just being new territory. It's important to identify any barriers to your critical thinking process, in order to find ways to overcome them and move forward. Without doubt, we could all benefit from having more time. We live in a fast-track world that is full of strict deadlines. Time constraints at work may force you to make rash decisions. However, when we work against the clock, it can often lead to poor or wrong decisions. With a press on time, we often choose to complete the work without the use of logical thinking or considering our long-term vision. If you're going to be a critical thinker, it will require time to learn the steps, as well as time to complete the process. Although it can be difficult to stop and think, let alone think critically, it will pay off in the long run. During the process of critical thinking, each argument is broken down, analyzed, and reconnected with new ideas. Unlike a reflex answer, or gut reaction that can be habitual, critical thinking is neither rash nor quick. When you are faced with important decisions or difficult problems, take the time to follow this intentional process. Using a critical approach does not only produce greater results, but it will actually save you more time by avoiding errors or misunderstandings. As you practice the process, it will become second nature. Critical thinking is not possible without detailed content knowledge. A lack of knowledge will act as a barrier to optimizing the benefits of using critical thinking skills. In order to think creatively or logically about a topic, it's crucial that you conduct background research and read around the subject. Without having proper knowledge, you cannot reach a proper conclusion. A critical thinker must engage in self-learning practices that will expand their level of knowledge and fact-check. It's important to question where your data is coming from, and whether it is trustworthy or reliable. The more you learn about a subject, the more you will be able to apply logic and tackle the problem with a critical approach. One of the most common barriers to being able to think critically and rationally is being close-minded. People who are close-minded see things in black and white. Rather than exploring a world of possible solutions, they believe that there is only one way to solve a problem. However, to assume that there is only one way to do things is false logic. When we are unable to adjust our perspectives and remain unreceptive to different viewpoints, we are not likely to achieve the best outcomes. In order to discover new things and think of information in a critical way, we have to remain open-minded. Being open-minded means being receptive to new ideas, arguments, and information, as well as having a desire for personal and professional growth. The most successful people are eager to learn, but also willing to be wrong. Oftentimes, we can fall into the habit of performing our daily tasks without thinking. Without conscious effort in our thoughts, we can lose our critical thinking abilities. This act of remaining in our comfort zone and disregarding new challenges from the world around us is known as drone mentality. Drone mentality can be a harmful habit to develop. Shying away from new challenges will simply cause us to miss opportunities that could lead to a prosperous future. To eliminate drone mentality, it's important to incorporate creative strategies into our daily lives. Consider asking yourself, does this make sense to me? And if it does not make sense, why not? These questions will push you out of your comfort zone and encourage you to pay attention to your surroundings. Social pressures in our everyday lives can have a major effect on encouraging a groupthink mentality. However, when everyone thinks the same and there is no opportunity to challenge perspectives, there is not a lot of creative or critical thinking happening. Groupthink happens when a group of individuals come together to decide on an important decision, and support what is being said without asking questions or giving their own views. Many people drive for the acceptance of those around them, in which thinking differently from the group may cause them to feel uncomfortable. The group prefers to value coherence above critical reasoning and analysis. Groupthink causes unhealthy thinking patterns, lack of creativity, and can ultimately lead to poor decisions. Chandra works for a company that focuses on video editing software. Since they have not updated their software in quite a while, Chandra believed that they were missing some important features. She explained this to the rest of the team, however many of the team did not think that these new features were necessary. Despite the lack of interest from the team, Chandra remained open-minded and decided to do research on various video software, to seek knowledge on new alternatives that could advance their industry. With her gained knowledge, Chandra confidently presented these ideas to the rest of the team. They were happy that Chandra took the time to analyze and evaluate other features. She was proud of herself for stepping out of her comfort zone and exploring ideas that were different from the company. With Chandra's conscious efforts to her creative abilities, the team was able to implement these new features and had great success with their company. Module 10. Changing your perspective. When searching for solutions, it's influential to ensure that you are approaching the problem from the right angle. Your perspectives have been formed throughout your life and based on factors such as your family, your culture, education, and personal experiences. Critical thinking challenges us to understand and gain new perspectives when faced with these problems or situations. By changing how you see the world, you change how you feel about it. As a result, you can advance your knowledge and continue to grow as an individual. A powerful skill that strengthens critical thinkers is the ability to explore and evaluate various viewpoints. Examining problems at different viewpoints can help us to better understand the problem on a deeper level. Although this is an important element of critical thinking, it can be a difficult thing to do. Perspective taking involves temporarily putting aside your beliefs about a certain issue to hear different sides of it. The best knowledge is learned when voices are heard and shared, allowing for the discovery of similarities and differences to exist among these viewpoints. Integrating and valuing differing viewpoints will help us to be more empathetic, make unbiased evaluations, and see the bigger picture. It's natural for humans to be subjective. Our thoughts are typically guided by previous knowledge or experiences. Effective critical thinking requires the individual to be objective. Objectivity is the concept of putting aside your personal thoughts or feelings, and opening yourself up to objects external from the mind in order to learn new courses of action. It helps us to engage more thoughtfully and deliberately in the critical thinking process. However, it's important to remember that our emotions are valid and to not completely exclude our emotions or subjective feelings in the decision-making process. Sometimes the best solution to a problem can be revealed from looking at the problem in a new way, or thinking in reverse. Reverse thinking is the process of working on a problem backwards to come up with a wide range of new ideas. When you find yourself stuck on a problem, reverse thinking can be especially helpful to get you back on track to success. Although you may not always get an immediate answer, it will encourage you to change your focus and see possible solutions. The process involves rephrasing your questions, such as asking what could I do to cause the problem? Or how might I achieve the opposite effect of this problem? This can help you to envision the situation to see things that you might otherwise miss. Every decision we make has a consequence. If we want to ensure we are making the best decision, it's necessary to stop and consider how our decisions will impact our lives and the world around us. Before you begin to move forward with a decision, you should weigh your immediate, as well as future outcomes. Critical thinking will help to encourage individuals to make the best choices among various options that will meet their goals. Conscious choices will result in positive changes that will guide you through your personal and professional life. When coming up with a solution, think about the following questions. What will be a likely result from this decision? How does this decision affect me or those around me? How will this decision affect me or those around me in the future? A significant part of critical thinking is about forming connections in a problem. Oftentimes when forming these connections, critical thinkers are presented with inconsistencies or cognitive dissonance. This is something that everyone has experienced to some degree. Cognitive dissonance occurs when an individual is presented with new information that contradicts their current beliefs or values, in which these logical inconsistencies can lead to feelings of discomfort. It is a natural tendency to want to eliminate inconsistencies and justify what it is you are doing to avoid these feelings of uneasiness. Critical thinkers are able to accept and explore the facts that may make them uncomfortable, by using logic and objectivity to see variances. Ronnie, a union mediator, was meeting with representatives from an on-strike union in a business, in an attempt to resolve their conflict. The union was asking for a 10% raise in their pay. However, the business representative had refused, citing those profits were not high enough to support a raise of that size. She allowed both sides to state their issues, so that their voices could be heard. Ronnie had a difficult decision to make. On one hand, the business might fail, which would cost everyone their jobs. On the other hand, the employees needed to have a living wage. Ronnie remained objective, and carefully explored and evaluated each viewpoint so that she could understand the issue on a deeper level. She analyzed the pros and cons, and questioned what would likely result from each option. With this consideration, Ronnie decided on what she believed to be the best choice, and suggested that rather than a raise, the employees could receive a small percentage of the company's annual profits at the end of the year. Both parties agreed that her solution was very reasonable. Module 11. Putting it all together. Critical thinking skills do not just appear, it's a process that requires time and effort to master. In order to be an effective critical thinker, you have to put yourself in the situation, analyze issues from every angle, and then determine a plan to move forward. Critical thinking is an important element for great leadership and can ultimately affect your life in a positive way. The best way to retain and improve your critical thinking abilities is to practice them regularly. The importance of inquisitiveness cannot be overemphasized in the process of critical thinking. The best way to progress as a critical thinker is to put in the effort. The more you practice these skills, the easier they will become. The stage theory of critical thinking, developed by Linda Elder and Richard Paul, recognizes the key stages of predictable levels of thinking and progression. The theory identifies 6 stages of building critical thinking, including unreflective, challenged, beginner, practical, advanced, and master thinker. In order to reach the stage of becoming a master thinker, it is necessary to put in the time and dedication to expanding your critical thinking skills. The stages include: Stage 1. The unreflective thinker. The individual is unaware of the importance of critical thinking. They do not reflect on the impact of their decisions. Stage 2. The challenged thinker. The individual becomes aware of the importance of critical thinking and acknowledges their lack of critical thinking abilities. Stage 3. The beginning thinker. The individual attempts to take control of their thinking, but without regular practice. They will recognize the value of reasoning, and become aware of their own thinking processes. Stage 4. The practicing thinker. The individual will regularly practice these skills, and become aware of their own strengths and weaknesses. With practice, they are developing better thinking habits. Stage 5. The advanced thinker. The individual will regularly use these skills, thus advancing in accordance to the practice. They are able to recognize biases with their own thinking, and develop habits for insightful reflection. Stage 6. The master thinker. The individual becomes skillful and is able to analyze their own decisions. The ability to think critically has become second nature. The way you think holds a remarkable power over the shaping of the world around you. Ultimately, you hold control over your own thoughts. Metacognition, or the process of thinking about thinking, is an essential part of critical and creative thinking. This practice encourages the awareness of one's own actions, feelings, and the way they affect their surroundings. When we use self-regulated learning, we are able to evaluate the success of our methods and how we might improve them. Our greatest form of knowledge is the knowledge of our own cognitive processes. Mistakes have great value in our learning processes. A beneficial technique for becoming a successful critical thinker is to change the way that you respond to mistakes. Reframing and reflection on errors allows for the opportunity to analyze your decisions, and offers perspectives on what you might do the next time. Reflection is constructive with faults, as well as successful practices. Reflective thinking will encourage you to challenge your thoughts and assumptions, and act on feedback that will push you towards your end goal. To be a successful critical thinker, it's important to consider what it is that you are aiming to achieve. Every decision will have a particular purpose or objective. Having a strong understanding of what you want is a great starting point for basing your decisions off of the wide range of possibilities that you come across. Ask yourself, what exactly do I want? Or what am I expecting to get out of this? It can be easy to allow your emotions to take over when pressured with a major decision, or arguing over an opinion. A clear aim will encourage discipline for you to stay on track, and implement factual and creative modes of thought. Although it's important to think things through prior to making a decision, It can become difficult when you start to overthink the problem. Overthinking places too much focus on the problem, rather than trying to form a solution. Critical thinking skills encourage a more positive and constructive thought process that is fixated on meeting objectives. While critical thinking moves you forward in the decision-making process, overthinking stops the process. Always take action on the things that you are able to control. When you become lost in your thoughts, consider how you could make your thoughts more constructive. The ability to effectively think things through is a skill that is valuable in all aspects of life. Kelly was taking a college course in chemistry, and her professor had assigned her to an experiment. There were 4 large bottles of clear liquid labeled 1 to 4, and 1 bottle of a white liquid. She was to mix the liquids together until the solution changed to pink. She tried mixing the white liquid with each larger bottle, but nothing happened. At first, she was stumped. Had her teacher given her the wrong ingredients? As she thought about it, she realized that she should try mixing more than 2 liquids together. When she mixed the liquids from bottle 1 and 2 together and then added the white liquid, it turned orange. Thinking logically, she soon found the correct combination.
Although this workshop is coming to a close, we hope that your journey to improve and apply the skills that you learned is just the beginning. Please take a moment to review and update your action plan. This will be a key tool to guiding your progress in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. We wish you the best of luck.